Andrew, also, since you mentioned Q4 numbers, and I think that is something which obviously is playing on the mind of the market as well. Now, do you think it can actually trigger a sort of near-term correction? I won't say massive fall, but a near-term correction in markets, the Q4 numbers?
Yeah, again, it'll go back to individual stocks, but, it could be that kind of dampening feeling. I mean, in terms of, numbers, again, are going to have to be downgraded, for 17, 18. We've already seen forecasts actually come down from 20% growth to around 15. And if this quarter is not so good, then I expect then that would see another ratchet down in the figures or the forecast for 17, 18 earnings growth. So I think a figure nearer to 10% is probably where I'd be more comfortable, and that doesn't really kind of add up to the valuations we have at the moment. So I think you're correct, is that it could be the catalyst, and there's many catalysts out there which could actually bring markets down, but it could be one of the factors which help kind of take the froth off the market that we're probably seeing at the moment.
In that case, Andrew, when do you think there will be concrete recovery in earning growth? Can we expect it by the last quarter of this calendar year, or maybe before that?
I think again, you've kind of you've nailed the kind of quarter I was thinking of in terms of the back end of this year, the last quarter, because the implementation of GST, I think again will be disruptive to the economy. And maybe take a minimum 3 to 6 months to play out. So it could well be the back end of the year that we see the first sign of kind of earnings growth coming forward. So I'm going back to the fact that we're riding on the back of global markets. I mean, fundamentally, apart from obviously the UP elections, which gave foreign investors a lot more comfort that the government will continue its reform program, nothing's really changed on the ground, and I think that that reality, as we talked just a few minutes ago, will probably play through in earnings. And as we kind of get towards that 1st of July, if that's the implementation, I think concerns again in terms of how that will disrupt the economy, and along with obviously the forecasts of a below par monsoon might just play on the markets over that kind of summer period. So those are kind of things I'm looking at. So I said, if we can pause around these levels, I think it's not a bad thing, and we'll see what global events bring out. But I'm not overly negative about either the global factors or the Indian factors. I just think that valuations don't support chasing at the moment.
बिल्कुल। खैर चलिए एक बार देख लेते हैं आज कुछ एक जो फार्मा स्टॉक्स हैं उस पर अच्छी खासी गिरावट देखने को मिल रही है। हमने देखा है इंडोको पर आज अच्छा खासा सेलिंग प्रेशर देखने को मिला है। कुछ और फार्मा स्टॉक्स है जहां पर सेंटिमेंट आज नेगेटिव है। लिकर स्टॉक्स पर हमने देखा सेंटिमेंट नेगेटिव है। नाउ एंड्रू, द प्रॉब्लम विथ स्पेस लाइक फार्मा or liquor is generally market would maybe take a guess about the future earnings, and keeping that in mind, it would assign some or the other valuation to each sector or the frontline stocks from that sector. The problem with liquor and pharma is, the regulatory surprises are so much and so many and so frequent that they are somewhere capping the valuation of these stocks and in fact keeping them under pressure. What's your take on these two sectors?
I think with the liquor stocks, it's like waking up with a hangover, isn't it? It's you just get hit by something which you didn't expect to be. I mean, who expected all these stores having to and liquor stores having to be shut down because so near to the highways? I mean, it's just an event you don't really kind of plan for. So they're going to remain under pressure, and obviously the sales and obviously lower volumes mean that margins are going to be hurt quite a lot. So again, it's a space you don't need to rush into. I mean, obviously, there could be some stake sales or stake increases in some of these companies as they take advantage of lower prices, but you're really kind of taking a bet on that rather than the fundamentals of the company. So it's a sector to steer away from. And the same with pharmaceuticals. I mean, you can wake up to either 20% down or 20% up in terms of the share price. But fundamentally, I think the pharmaceutical companies do have some kind of problem with the regulator. I don't think it's just the US now, it's obviously Europe as well. So really they need to clean their act up, and they've been had a few years to try and do this, and they still keep falling foul of the regulator. So I've never been a great of the view that Trump coming in talking about lower drug prices is great for Indian pharma. Because on the other hand, he talks about how investment by multinationals in drug discovery has to happen more and more, which doesn't go hand in hand. So if anything, I think the Indian pharmaceutical companies are going to have more problems than most in terms of the US market. So I remain negative on pharma, and we will do so for some time now.
एक बार रिलायंस इंडस्ट्रीज को देख लेते हैं. अपनी स्ट्रेंथ को अभी भी होल्ड कर रहा है और ऑलमोस्ट 4% से ज़्यादा के गेंस के साथ दिन के ऊपरी स्तरों पर है. Andrew, from the last 2 months, we have it's been all about heavyweights. We have seen one or the other heavyweight performing, and in 2 sessions, Reliance Industries have again emerged as an outperformer. So, do you see leadership sustaining with Reliance Industries, and where do you see leaders emerge from next?
So I mean, I think we're all surprised to the upside in terms of how the Geo has really taken market share, continue to keep the customers when sometimes those kind of freebie offers, people go back to where they are. So they've really shown the way, and I think within the sector now, given you've got a merger of 2 very big companies, which is disruptive in itself. And the pricing pressure which Reliance Geo is continuing in the market, says to me that they're going to continue to take market share. And I think what analysts are waking up to, and I've seen quite a number of reports today, is that the valuation which they were giving nothing to in terms of Geo, now they're giving valuations to. I mean, it's not going to make any money, but obviously in terms of valuations, it was kind of written off. So could you see the stock continue to do well? And I think the answer is yes, because the fundamental of its core business is still throwing off cash, and obviously Geo is seen now as moving quicker to break even than maybe analysts or anyone was thinking 2 or 3 months ago. So it's going to remain an outperformer in the short term, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, thanks, Andrew, for joining us and for sharing your views on markets and on all other sectors. Thank you very much.